The search for the origins of life has historically baffled culture since civilization began. Trying to answer this question has divided groups in ancient times and is also controversial today. The most common belief is in the theory of evolution. The theory of intelligent design, or creationism, is most popular with those with religious beliefs. Neither view can be explained in a few sentences, and when you break it down, the theories have more in common than either group may want to admit. One thing that both evolutionists and creationists have in common is the belief in the spontaneous creation of life. Creationists believe that the spontaneous creation of life came from the power, the direction, and the hand of God. God touched the sea, and life began. Evolutionists believe in a scientific process called abiogenesis. This is where, at some point long ago, molecules came together into a form that could support life, and some form of energy started a life function within it. This new life form was complex enough to sustain its own life and also to reproduce. The process of abiogenesis has never been observed in nature or in the laboratory. In fact, spontaneous creation of life by either theory has never been proven, observed, or duplicated. In science, abiogenesis causes some conflict. It violates one of the fundamental laws of biology, the law of biogenesis. This law was derived after experiments by Louis Pasteur. It states that life only comes from other life. To resolve this conflict, most evolutionary scientists believe that spontaneous creation of life happened once, 1 billion years ago, but doesn't happen anymore. A basic area of agreement among evolutionists and creationists is on the adaptation of species. Darwin studied birds in the Galapagos Islands, noticing that over time birds on different islands had developed different types of beaks depending upon the food source for that island. This is the cornerstone of his theory of evolution, and is actually not in conflict with creationist beliefs. Animals do change with selective breeding, like those used for improving livestock traits, or natural breeding that helps animals to adapt to environmental changes. Humans have created changes by selective breeding since the beginning of civilization. Dogs have been bred for all purposes, giving us hundreds of specialty breeds. But with all the purposeful manipulation of breeds throughout history, there's never been a new species created. The creation of new species and taxonomy families is where creationists and evolutionists disagree. Taxonomy is the science of classifying organisms. Species are made up of subspecies and are grouped together to make up the higher ranking of genus. Genus groups make up the higher ranking of family, and family groups make up classes. There is agreement that breeding between subspecies can make changes in existing characteristics, such as the beaks of birds or the size of dogs. But can breeding different species create a new genus? Or can two animals from different genus groups breed to create a new one? This is very unlikely, since successful breeding between species is not common. And when it does occur, the offspring is most often sterile and unable to carry on the bloodline of the hybrid species. Successful breeding between animals of different taxonomy families or taxonomy classes is not possible. There is little evidence for the creation of new animal groups or families by breeding, but it is one of the core beliefs of the evolutionary theory. One example of this belief by scientists is how sea animals became land animals. Up until the 1980s, the coelacanth was thought by many scientists to be the species that evolved from a fish to be the first land animal. It was believed to be a shallow water fish that walked on the bottom with its large pectoral fins, eventually walking out of the water and inhabiting land. In the 1930s, this fish, which was thought to be extinct for 75 million years, was found to still be surviving. These modern fish showed no sign of evolution after 100 million generations. In 1986, expeditions found and explored its natural habitat. The fish was not a shallow water fish, but a very deep water fish, and did not walk on the bottom, but often floated vertically with its head down, feeding in the currents. Early Darwinists believed that as new fossils were found, the missing links would fill in the gaps in the known fossil record and show the gradual changes between species that created new genus and taxonomy families. New fossils are found every day around the world, but there are almost as many gaps in the evolutionary map as there were in the 1800s. This is a major difference in the two theories. Another area of agreement is in the fact that all life on Earth has common characteristics. Within families like mammals, there are diverse forms of life, but all have common traits. Evolutionists believe these common traits are the result of the evolutionary process where all life came from a common ancestor, while creationists believe that common attributes are a signature of intelligent design and a common creator. There is one issue where there is disagreement not only between the different theories, but within the groups that promote them. This is on the age of the Earth. Since the late 1800s, scientists have used a number of different scientific methods to calculate the Earth's age. Famous scientists like Lord Kelvin used thermodynamic calculations to determine the age to be between 20 and 40 million years old. Other scientists produced similar results calculating aspects of the sun and the oceans. This trend concerned early Darwinists who needed the Earth to be at least 3.5 billion years old for evolution to be practical. Today, scientists calculate the age of the Earth at 4.5 billion years old by using radiometric dating of meteorites that have been recovered on Earth. Creationists also disagree among themselves. Some with religious beliefs point out that the Bible does not specify the age of the Earth or give specific clues. Others believe in a young Earth theory, where the Earth is believed to be between 6 and 10,000 years old. These early ages are often derived by following the genealogical record from the Bible's Old Testament and making estimates where there are gaps. One of the famous authors of this method was Sir Isaac Newton. There are various beliefs among intelligent design and creationists without religious foundations. Unlike evolutionists, creationist beliefs do not rely on a minimum age of the Earth. One fact that is indisputable is how little we actually know about the origins and development of life. If the total knowledge of the origins and development of life on Earth and the beginnings of Earth itself were represented by all the sand on the beach, the amount of sand representing our knowledge, things we can actually prove or can duplicate, couldn't fill a child's bucket. Life is so complicated we have trouble actually describing what it is. Common definitions seem inadequate. It's difficult to put into words how much more life is than just a biological function. Whether your faith is in religious beliefs or in scientific theories, one thing we can all agree on is that life is special and precious.